Hello friends, my name is Mr. Dhawale, Department of Chemistry, RBNB College, Sri Rampur. Today we are going to discuss regarding stereochemistry of different compounds. Especially in case of cyclohexyl ring, if there is presence of more than one substituent and which are very bulkier, at that time we have different stereochemistry. Okay, why? Because of steric hindrance between the adjacent groups, and if there are two bulkier groups are present on the adjacent positions and on the same side, at that time they will interact with each other and create the structure more unstable. Okay, so that here we take such like examples. So first here we are having interest in one molecule which is 1,3-ditertiary butyl cyclohexane. Okay, so first we draw its planar structure. 1 and 3 ditertiary butyl cyclohexane. Okay, so here we try to draw its both isomers cis and trans. Okay, so here tertiary butyl group 1,3-di tertiary butyl cyclohexane. Okay, so here we see this is tertiary butyl group, and tertiary butyl group, when we see in brief, at that time we have seen here these are the carbon which is attached to 3 methyl groups, and methyl groups are somewhat bulkier than that of hydrogen, so that here we see this type of 2 groups are attached to the 1,3 position, so that here when we go for both the structures cis and trans isomer, suppose first we write it's a cis isomer, so here we write cis 1,3-di tertiary butyl cyclohexane. So here first we draw its chair conformation, and now we go for placing the proper position of the bulkier groups, which is preferentially be at the position with a less hindrance. And we know, and we already discussed regarding what is the actual position of any bulkier substituent if that is present on that ring. At that time we say bulkier group is always placed at the equatorial position. Why? Because it can be less hindered with the other adjacent groups. Okay, so first we place the first tertiary butyl group at this position, and if we go for its third position, at that time we see here, suppose this is first, second and third, at that time we write it can be placed at the cis position, means what, both the groups are on the same side. So here we also write this group at this position, this is one of the equatorial position, and this is the cis isomer, and also we have this is an equatorial position which is also a cis isomer. So this is the proper conformation of cis 1,3-ditertiary butyl cyclohexane, having both the substituents which are present on the equatorial position, and this is the cis isomer. So this is the most stable structure. Okay, most stable. Then we go for its trans isomer, trans 1,3-ditertiary-butyl cyclohexane. So first you remember one thing. Suppose we go for 1,2 and 1,3 di-substituted cyclohexane 1,2 and 1,4. Remember what I say, 1,2 and 1,4. At that time, both the positions are different as compared to 1,3 position. Okay, so here I would like to memorize this concept. Suppose this is 1 and this one is the 2 position. At that time, you see here, this both bonds are trans to each other, means what this, these are the axial diaxial position. And if we go for another structure or another disubstituted compound having, this is the cis position which contain one bond is axial and one bond is equatorial. So this is the cis condition. But now when we go for 1,3 cis compound, at that time both the bonds are di-equatorial, and here this is the diaxial. And if we go for this bond, these are the di-equatorial, which is trans. But now here we say this is cis, but there is no presence of axial and equatorial bonds. Why? Because these are the 1,3 positions. So both the groups are on the same side, and at that time we say here both the substituents are present at the equatorial position, either that is equatorial or either that is axial position. Okay, but here this is the most stable. Why? Because if we can place any one of the group at the axial position, at that time it will interact with the adjacent hydrogens, and that compound is more and more unstable one. Okay, so that tertiary butyl group is always placed at the equatorial position, and this is the proper position. Okay, now we go for trans isomer, and here now we say the first structure we have some probabilities, and this is the first probability having this is the substituent which is placed at the equatorial position. Okay, one of the tertiary butyl group we can placed at the tertiary butyl, and another one which one is the third position. Suppose this is 1, 2 and 3, and here when we go through this side 1, 2 and 3, at that time you see here this position is also third position and this one is also third position, so we can choose any one, okay, with your choice. So here this is our the position which is third one, and this one is first, and this one is second one. Okay, so that at third position, if we want trans isomer, at that time one of the substituent which is placed at this one which is trans to this equatorial position. Okay, so this is the axial one. Okay, so here one of the tertiary butyl group goes at the axial position, and which is very becomes a unstable structure due to presence of this axial tertiary butyl which is bulkier group. Okay, so that we doesn't say here this is the more stable structure. Why? Because there is no any other choice in this chair conformation to both the substituents are at equatorial one, and that structure must be a trans. So in case of such type of structure in contain trans isomer, there is presence of one of the tertiary butyl group is at always axial position. So this is not a structure which is stable. Okay, so we write here unstable structure. But now in this case, if such a type of condition is present, at that time such type of ring system which can be twisted into the another conformation, so we can say here the chair conformation or the ring which can be distorted. Okay, distorted means what? It can change its shape into the different one which is present in chair conformation and boat conformation, but now the conformation which is less stable if we can compare chair and boat conformation, at that time boat conformation is somewhat energetic and somewhat unstable as compared to the chair conformation when there is no any substituent on that ring. But now here the chair conformation which is converted into the boat conformation, and at that time we see here, suppose we can change the chair into the boat conformation, and you know already if we can change chair into the boat, at that time one side of the chair which can change its substituent position, means what, equatorial substituents goes at the axial one and axial substituent goes and at the equatorial one. Okay, so here we say this is our equatorial position, and here also the substituent which is present, and now this is the another position which is equatorial one. Both the substituents are present at the equatorial position, and these are the trans to each other when we carry one plane, or when we take a plane of the boat conformation. At that time we see here one tertiary butyl group is on the below side and another one tertiary butyl group is on the above side, but both are present on the equatorial position, so that our expectations are good. And now the structure which is more stable. Okay, why? Because energy difference between the chair and boat conformation is not meaningful in this case. Why? Because it can be create more and more energy when the bulkier groups are present at the axial position, so that we see here we can compromise in this case here when we go through the chair and boat conformation, so that here one of the major energy which is created by the axial tertiary butyl group, and so that here we say both the substituents goes at the equatorial one, and our problem is solved out, and we have now getting the more stable structure which is look like this one. This is more stable one. So we see here these are the two structures which are more stable in case of 1,3-ditertiary cyclohexane. So I think you understood very well what is the explanation behind it and why we take this type of example, which is not a simple one. Why? Because it contains the more number of bulkier substituents are present, and so that we have such a type of different structures which are more stable in case of cis and in case of trans isomer. Okay, on next lecture we see another compound. Okay, thank you.